What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV, and in this video, I want to give a response to Say Less. Um, Say Less is all of us are part of the. Generally speaking, we're part of the Lions Den boxing community, but there's also the Lions Den basketball community. So in this instance, it's the Lions Den basketball community, and he did a video where he asked several very good, uh, in-depth questions to several members of the community. So, and I was one of the persons that he addressed in the title. So, I want to take on one question that he asked. I might probably do separate videos about the other questions um, as far as other teams are concerned. But I want to tackle the Milwaukee Bucks question first. He was talking about what do people expect from Milwaukee Bucks um, this year. Um, this is my thing. I do agree with him about. I do expect the Milwaukee Bucks win total to probably drop this year. I don't expect them to win 60 games this year because of the fact that although their main competition in the Eastern Conference is severely weakened, the Toronto Raptors. I mean, there's still some Raptor fans that think they can go to the finals, but without Kawhi Leonard, I don't see it, man. You know, you can make a strong argument that without Kawhi Leonard, they wouldn't have got past. Honestly, I'll put it like this. Without Kawhi Leonard, not only would they have not gotten past the Philadelphia 76ers, you can make the argument that Orlando Magic would have been a tough task because remember I think they dropped the first game against Orlando, if my memory serves me correctly. If not the first game, definitely the second game. But, Orlando was a tough out for them. So let's not get it twisted. But the Eastern Conference is a little bit stronger this year, although the Western Conference is definitely the more dominant and more competitive conference. But the Eastern Conference is stronger. So I don't think they're going to win quite as many games. I think they're going to be more in the 54, 55 win category, in my opinion. And I also think that the Milwaukee Bucks took a huge, huge loss when they were not able to re-sign Malcolm Brogdon. Because in my opinion, at least, this is just my opinion, I think Malcolm Brogdon was their second best player. I mean, Malcolm Brogdon was a 50, 40, 90 guy this past year. And he's better at creating his own shot than Chris Middleton. I just thought he was a really solid guy. He wasn't a high volume scorer. He shot at a great clip. He was a pretty good defensive player, if I remember correctly, for watching Milwaukee last year. He was a pretty good defensive player. I don't know, man. I can't help but look critically at Chris Middleton. I don't ever want to say that no one deserves their contract, but when I look at Chris Middleton, I don't see a 35 mil per guy, per year per guy, man. Player, excuse me. I just don't see that with Chris Middleton, man. And Indiana might be a team that might surprise some people this year. I mean, to consider the fact that they got to the playoffs pretty much without Victor Oladipo for the majority of last season was pretty impressive. And I know people say, yeah, Indiana does the same thing every year. They look pretty good in the regular season, but then they flame out in the playoffs. But I don't know, man. If you got a healthy Victor Oladipo and you got Malcolm Brogdon, Mike could do something this year, man. But as far as Milwaukee's concerned, they're still a really strong team. You know what I'm saying? I've been watching basketball for pretty much 30 years now, man. And I just notice a lot of times when guys sign these big contracts, man, like this, sometimes the pressure gets to these guys. They try too hard, and they end up having subpar seasons after their big contract year, man. It just, I don't know. You hope that what's the guy named DaVincenzo. Let me look it up. DaVincenzo. DaVincenzo. You hope he can have a good comeback year. He got injured, I think, sometime midway in the season. I like Pat Connaughton. Brooke Lopez is good. George Hill was great for this club last year in the playoffs. You know, they got his brother Robin Lopez now on the squad. They got Wesley Matthews. He's not quite the same after the Achilles injury, but he's good. They got his brother, Giannis' brother, on the team, man. So that's good for morale. For morale for him. Sterling Brown, Eric Bledsoe. I'm not sold on this guy, man. And the way the basketball's played now, I just don't like these guys who don't have outside shots for perimeter players. As far as expectations for Giannis is concerned, I know where you're going with that. Like, it's unfair the amount of criticism that LeBron got for not, quote unquote, sometimes performing at expectations that people had for him in certain playoff games, and should Giannis be getting the same criticisms? And is it time for that same criticism if he's not able to perform in certain situations the way LeBron did? But we got to remember something, though. It wasn't like LeBron was getting this criticism. Okay, LeBron came in the league 2003, right? LeBron James missed the playoffs his first 2 years in the NBA, 2003, 2004, 2004, 2005. Although individually he was doing some brilliant stuff. But the team success didn't start yet. He improved the team. They were like a cellar dweller team when he first got there. The Ricky Davis years, before he got there. Ricky Davis, Carlos Boozer, I remember those years. But he made the team like a 500 or so team. But the first year they went to the playoffs, I think it was 2000, 2006. The expectations for LeBron to be on a title contending basis, I don't think that really started until 2000, the year that he dragged that team to the finals. Okay, the year that he put that team on his back and upset the Detroit Pistons. And that was a coming of age run that LeBron James had. That's when the NBA took notice of LeBron James. That's when the expectations rose. He was 22 years old when he did that. 22 years old. So starting in 2007, 2008, the expectations changed. Okay, he battled the Boston Celtics in the playoffs that year. I think all the way to a game 7. And, the Boston Celtics were a thorn in LeBron's side because many people expected LeBron to kind of dominate that conference because the Detroit Pistons had kind of fallen off a little bit, off the radar. That Pistons team in the mid-2000s. But then here come the big three Boston Celtic team. But the thing about it, it wasn't just that the Celtics posed a threat. Many people were kind of shocked that, LeBron, I think 2009, was upset by the Orlando Magic team. And then, LeBron just, the level of play that this guy was playing at on a historic level, comparable to only the all-time great players, he was, from a talent aspect, the best player in the league. Although historically, you had to put Kobe over him, but LeBron was doing some sensational stuff. But the expectations were, okay, this is going to be the year. 2009, 2010 was the year that, okay, this is the year that we're going to have Kobe and LeBron in the finals. That was LeBron's 7th year in the league. So the expectations were, okay, he should be able to get past the Boston Celtics. All right. And this is going to be the year. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen. And LeBron felt that pressure to the point where, He wanted to be in a situation where he felt he had the best opportunity to win a championship. So it wasn't like immediate with LeBron. It took a while. It took like 6, 7 years or so for people to start feeling like, okay, this guy has to win a championship. So then when he goes to Miami, and he kind of fed into this himself, the not one, not two, not three situation. You got this, people see this as this super nucleus of, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. Remember, Chris Bosh was just coming off a 24-10 year with the Toronto Raptors. And he's a future Hall of Famer, although I think he's kind of borderline. Dwayne Wade's a future Hall of Famer. LeBron, of course, is certainly a future Hall of Famer. So when they lost to the Dallas Mavericks, yeah, and LeBron James laid an egg in the finals that year, yes, it did draw a lot of criticism, and well deserved. So I say that because Giannis is only 24 years old. LeBron James was 24 years old in 2008. So you got to kind of compare it to then, more or less. That was around the time when expectations were starting to grow for LeBron James, and Giannis is in that same trajectory. Okay, this past year was the first year that Giannis had a team around him that could legitimately contend for an NBA championship. Okay, it was reasonable, and they failed. They reached the NBA Finals. Excuse me, they reached the Eastern Conference Finals. Excuse me, but they failed and they dropped a 2-0 lead in that series. All right. So from this point forward, the expectations for Giannis are different now. Many people, what I'm saying, and I saw this from doing videos last year, for the most part said, man, the Bucks are the Bucks, man. Yeah, they're starting off good, but they're going to falter. They're going to miss the playoffs. Or, okay, they're all right, man. Maybe they might make the playoffs, but they're going to lose in the first round. So when they got past the first round and then got past the second round, people are like, oh, okay, this is a different team now. So now people look at you and they have different expectations. For Giannis this year, I think if they don't make the NBA, if they don't at least make the conference finals again, it's a complete failure for a season. If they get, eliminated, I mean, I don't even want to go there if they don't make the playoffs. He deserves if Giannis is not injured and they don't even make the playoffs, oh, yeah, he deserves fire and brimstone type shit against him. All types of shit. Okay? If they don't make it past the first round of semis, they deserve a lot of criticism. Okay? If they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and lose again, they still deserve some criticism because you don't have Kawhi Leonard to contend with anymore. A guy who many people feel like right now, barring Kevin Durant's health and barring LeBron James' level of play this year, is the best player in the NBA. So, yeah, Giannis has a lot of expectations this year. Now, as far as like Giannis and this jump shot situation and all that, and he needs to have a jumper, I think Giannis, it would benefit him if he developed something of a mid-range jumper, something that was dependable, something that was reliable. I don't think he necessarily needs to be a great three-point shooter. It's nice to add it to your game, but sometimes I think big men can get into a habit of jacking up too many threes. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you have all of these athletic gifts that are beset upon you. You're a freak of nature. You're like goddamn Connie Hawkins and Julius Erving and all these old guys meshed into one guy, a little bit of Sean Marion maybe. I mean, you just, all these different attributes that are so unique. Why waste it by just hoisting up threes? I mean, it's nice to add it to your game, maybe shoot a couple when you're hot, whatever, open. But just to jack up threes, that can kind of get you in trouble and get you out of your. It can kind of, you can kind of basically be like the defense will be like, Okay, we'll take that. That's what hurts Joel Embiid sometimes, you know. But when Joel Embiid's down low punishing, you know, that's when he's at his worst. I mean, when I say his worst, I mean as far as dominating and you know being a destructive force. But Giannis, I think what he needs to really do is work on his post game. You know what I'm saying? He need to work on his footwork. He need to work on his post game because I noticed he's not fluid sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And I know in certain situations he feel a lot of pressure to do it all. And I was noticing that in the playoffs. You can't, no matter how great an individual player is, you cannot beat a great team by yourself. And also, I noticed that when Giannis is not playing well, I was noticing that his teammates look unsure of what they're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, for the life of me, I never understood why you have three Toronto Raptors surrounding Giannis Antetokounmpo, and you have a bunch of other guys just standing behind 3-point line. Why aren't some of these guys cutting to the basket for easy layups, easy alley oops, or just easy layups? I mean, you have three Raptors paying attention to Giannis. Cut to the fucking basket or something. I mean, do something. I mean, I don't know. You know, like, it just seemed like some of the other guys just got unsure of themselves. They was hesitating. You know, so this team needs still. I mean, like I said, essentially, most of the pieces are still there. They're going to miss, of course, Malcolm Brogdon, but you know what I'm saying. Chris Middleton, for as amount of money as he's making this year, man, he needs to be putting up 25 a game. Okay, the Milwaukee Bucks, I think they're still going to be a contender. It's all going to be contingent upon if they're going to still win those games that they won, those types of games they won last year where they beat opponents that they should be beating. And, you know, I kind of see, I think it's going to be, I mean, Giannis is going to be Giannis. I think he's still going to be a great player. Um, Hopefully, you know, over time, he will eventually develop certain other things to his game. But like the jump shot thing, I don't know if he'll ever be a great jump shooter. I do think that eventually he will work on, like I said, his post game, his footwork, his, you know, just having. He don't need to be Akeem Olajuwon, but he just needs some basic things. He needs, you know, just some basic things he can rely on, some weapons. He needs a hook shot. You know what I'm saying? Just certain weapons that he can rely on when defenses are denying him just the ability to just, you know, drive and dunk and, you know, and get easy layups. And he just needs some things he can rely on to make it easier for him and to open up opportunities for his teammates. And if that can happen, uh, it will just change it will just change his game to a whole nother level, uh, and will make things easier for his teammates and to make the Milwaukee Bucks that more unstoppable. Um, because when you think about right now in the Eastern Conference, I'm just thinking, I think their biggest opposition will be Philly. I think it will be Philly. They got Al Horford now, so they got a really good squad, you know, the Philadelphia 76ers, but I do think they're going to miss Jimmy Butler. I really do think they're going to miss him. And Ben Simmons and his inability to make jump shots will hurt them in the playoffs, you know. So I'm not totally sold on Philly, you know, but that's pretty much what I think about the Milwaukee Bucks. And like I said, I think they'll win about 54, 55 games in the regular season, barring injury to Giannis. And in the playoffs, I think it should be, I think, a Philly-Milwaukee showdown. And came close to being that this past season. I think it will be that this season. That should be a good series. I don't know who will win that series. I know 78 will be rooting for Milwaukee. I guess deep in my heart, I'll be rooting for Milwaukee. I'm not a Bucks fan, but I've always kind of liked that franchise. I knew the history of that franchise. I knew that franchise had been a winning franchise for decades back in the 70s and throughout most of the 1980s. And it was only until the early 1990s that franchise began to lose, and then they began to just develop and accept the losing culture there for so many years. Had some good runs with some great players, of course. Glenn Robinson and Vin Baker had a little run, although they didn't have much team success. Of course, they had that magical 2001 run with Sam Cassell, Sam I Am, Ray Allen, and Glenn Big Dog Robinson. And of course, until the injuries took him out of the game, Michael Redd had some sensational individual years for that team. But now they're back on the rise, and I think Giannis right now is the second best player in the history of that franchise. No disrespect to guys like Terry Cummings or Bob Dandridge or Sidney Moncrief. No disrespect to Glenn Big Dog Robinson, Michael Redd, any of those guys, John McLaughlin. Like I said, there's no disrespect to those guys, but I think short of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Giannis is the best talent that franchise ever had. So we'll see. Tell me what you guys think.